Hey, Truth Tellers, just a quick heads up before this episode begins. I experienced some technical difficulties during my interview with Dr. Sherrie. For the people watching the video, you may notice the video freezing in a couple of spots, which resulted in a couple of very minor edits. Otherwise, the truth bombs keep coming. So let's get into this amazing episode with Dr. Sherrie. Hello, Truth Tellers. Welcome back to the ADHD Scapegoat Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I have a special guest, a very special guest. She is someone who doesn't just understand toxic family dynamics. She names them, she calls them out, and gives survivors the tools to take their lives back. Dr. Sherrie Campbell is a psychologist, author, and total truth bomb dropper when it comes to cutting ties with toxic family. Her book, Adult Survivors of Toxic Family Members, felt like she crawled inside my brain and put my story on paper. And I spoke about her in my episode about no contact, and now you get to hear directly from her. Dr. Sherrie, welcome.
Yay!
I'm so excited you're here.
Yes, I'm so excited. And, you know, Angie was just recently on my show, and it's going to come out a little later because I kind of booked myself way out having ADHD. I got a little overzealous.
Right.
But I'm very excited to be here with you, Angie. I loved our connection on my show, and I figured out who you were because you came up on my feed reading my book.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen you, or we'd never really been in contact. And so I liked the post and thanked you and showed a little gratitude. So now we're like sister friends. So it's wonderful.
Exactly. So yeah, such similar experiences. So I know I touched on the book in my episode that I did about no contact. And when I say you jumped inside my head, it felt like a lot of the things really lined up, and I had never really seen it anywhere else. So it's funny, I got your book like 2 years ago and, you know, ingested it very quickly. But you wrote about, and you talk about it on your own podcast too, where you didn't technically go no contact, that you just simply stopped mending the fence after your family had already pulled away. And that resonated with me. Can you talk about how the silence and the stonewalling from these toxic family members kind of become their way of, like, they sever the relationship, and then we get labeled with the ones who walk away?
Yeah, I that is just the biggest injustice, right? And the game in my family, my entire life, because I was the scapegoat, and Angie taught me that the kid with ADHD is almost always the scapegoat or the difficult child. And I think that we're difficult for reasons other than the ADHD literature would actually state. I think we are truth tellers, we're truth seers and seekers, and that annoys them far more, I think, than our hyperactivity or, you know, our our little chaos that we bring with us. But I think my ADHD, I think, was deeply impacted by going through being silenced all the time for sport. So that really was the game in my life, was to silence me for sport and then make me beg the relationship back.
Right.
And so I think that over time, the bandwidth, sorry, a dog just came in.
Oh, okay.
The bandwidth to which I could take that anymore really started decreasing as I was getting older and more independent. I was like, I do not have to take this anymore. I should not have to take this kind of treatment anymore. And so when it happened again, after many other far more horrific fights or abominations of me, when this happened over something so small, I was like, you know what? This is going to be forever. If it's happening over small, meaningless things now, then it's going to happen on everything going forward. It's just going to get worse. And I was just done. Something in me, that bandwidth, it just broke. In my book, I talk about how there's like a bag, and my whole life they are dropping pebbles in the bag.
Yeah.
And it's only going to take one pebble, not the biggest fight, for example, in my case, to break the bag. The bag broke. I don't have another way to explain it other than everything in my body was like, I'm done. I'm never mending the fence again. And then I want to take a twist on boundaries, if I could, for a minute.
Yeah.
Boundaries are designed to keep people in your life. And
Right.
it's just wild to me that they're seen through such a narrow scope of getting the toxicity out of your life. But the whole reason we set boundaries is because we want the people we love that when we say, hey, you did X, Y, and Z and it made me feel blank, then they will say, oh my gosh, I am so sorry I did X, Y, and Z. I did it because maybe they weren't trying to hurt you. They want to give an explanation, but then they should follow up and say, I will do Y going forward. I am so sorry. I want to remain in your life. I will no longer do X. Okay.
Right.
Anyone who loves you, that is so simple to do.
Right.
In a toxic family, if you say, you did X, Y, and Z and it really hurt me, they're like, I didn't do that. And you're like, okay, but like you did. No, I didn't. Okay, but it hurt me. Well, you're too sensitive. If you
Yeah.
push, then they justify what they actually did that they just denied that they did. So now you're even more confused, right? It's like you're running around in a circle and all you're wanting is love and respect. And they're at every turn flipping the script. So when I get cut off and it clued into me, I'm like, they don't want me in their life.
Right.
They've shown me my whole life that they're going to cut me off. And so I'm not respecting their boundaries essentially by mending the fence.
Yeah. No, you're
So
right.
if they want to cut me off, if I were to cut someone off, that would indicate to me and to them that I don't want them in my life. And the most respectful thing that I would do in that situation, which I did with them, is if you don't want me in your life, okay, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And then
Right.
somehow, by respecting the boundary that they set to silence me, and I stopped my pattern of chasing, now I'm cruel. I
Right.
just find this so convenient for them.
Perfectly convenient. Yeah.
So convenient.
Yeah. And it's funny because I never had the word boundaries like as a kid, but
Me neither.
I always implemented them. I didn't know what they were, but I would just stand up and be like, "No, that's not okay. Like I don't deserve to be treated like that. I don't deserve for you to, talk to me like that." And I would, get up and leave. And the part I always thought was if they don't like me and they don't want to be around me and they're giving me such a hard time, why don't they just leave me alone?
Oh, girl. Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah, I was always, and I would go and isolate to be alone,
Right.
right? Because I was like, yeah, the little world of pretend and stuffed animals in my room is far more peaceful and exciting than this stuff outside the room.
Yeah.
When you are the scapegoat, people aren't going to be able to see, but I'm giving a stop sign and a come here sign with my hands at the same time. Okay, so go navigate that.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
you cannot do that. And I think what happens is we try and we try and we try and we're told we're bad. We believe this. We don't have any other refuting evidence. We're really not in anyone else's family. Nobody else, because they gather everyone, even in the extended family and friends, to get
Right.
into this mindset that you are a bad kid. I mean, I lived in a small town, unfortunately, so I was already seen as bad by teachers before even entering school. So there's no refuting evidence. And so I kept trying to be good. And
Right.
I was always too much of something bad and not enough of something good.
Yeah.
So I couldn't win.
Yeah. And the goalposts keep moving.
Oh, God, yes. They're so flexible in that land.
Oh boy. Well, because it changes
Yeah.
like all the
It
time.
changes because, like I said in that example before, the more you press, the more they change their comeback. It's
Yeah.
like they deny they did anything. You press, you get a different answer. Now you're too sensitive. You press again, and they're like, well, you deserved it.
Yeah.
And then even if you say, but you said you didn't do it. No, I didn't. What is going on? It's
Yeah.
like the math isn't mathing.
No. And that's the whole thing is like that impact on you as a child and as you grow into adulthood. It's like you're the one who tries and apparently fails, according to them, over
Apparently
and
miserably.
over and over. And you're just trying to connect. You're trying
Yes.
to find what works. And you're just like, I guess, only to be rejected. Like you keep trying only to be rejected over and over and over. And like for a long time, I never called it abuse before. I never, up until 4 years ago, I didn't call it abuse. I was just like, oh, they're mean to me. They pick on me. Oh, yeah, Angie's a whiner. Meh, meh, meh. Like that whole idea. But it was like, oh, no, no. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the reality. It's worse than that.
Yeah, it's way worse than that. And so I don't think people really understand how hard it is to never have a right answer or to never have a support. No one's ever meeting you where you're at. It's constantly, you have to change, you have to change.
No, so I think when I really figured out that I wasn't minimizing it anymore. I
Mm.
realized that this is trauma, this is a problem, was when I really started getting the support for my ADHD. Um,
Yes.
and I was doing all the work because, of course, for us being the scapegoated ones, being the problems, it was you have to fix. So we were constantly self-reflecting. What can I do better? Or, oh, I saw my sister do this and she was praised, or she wasn't, or at least wasn't attacked.
Yes,
So if
totally.
I try to do that, but then when I would do it, it was like, meh, not that great. And then this break in the family, it was like, I'm getting all this support for my ADHD. Now I'm an ADHD life coach. I'm advocating for my kids. I have so much knowledge around it. I'm doing all of these like self-reflective, helpful things. And there's still this problem with my family. So
Yeah,
it's not me that's the
right.
problem here. What's actually happening,
You know what I think when I think of what you just said was so impactful for me too, because I had a sibling, and the more he succeeded, the more love and praise. And for crying out loud, I have a PhD. You really can't go higher. And I still just got nothing. I just got no support. I mean, it's they were there for the glory moments, so I won't take that, but it didn't bring me anything close to what it brought him. In fact, I believe it made me even more hated because see, they needed a loser.
Oh, of course.
And I was. I well, I wasn't, but I almost failed 3 grades. But there were 9 marriages between my parents,
Right.
and I was a sensitive child. My brother, I believe, can compartmentalize. I think men tend to do that better than women anyway. But because we were both stellar athletes, I was an Olympic hopeful ice skater, and he played in a professional sport for 5 years. And I did have those things, but I didn't even have coaches that were quite as positive on me. I had some support there, which I appreciate. But see, I was scared of adults.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he was or wasn't, but there was so much fanfare for him that I feel like he just went through a little easier. Now, I would probably disagree with that today when I look at the state of who he's become and that he's so enmeshed and he'll never get out of that dynamic and we will never have a relationship.
Right.
However, no matter how much you know, if you have a PhD, if you're an expert in the area, it has almost a negative effect on them. And here's why I think that is. Well, now we know that it wasn't us. We also know that they did no research to help us. I was not diagnosed until 42 years old.
Right.
So I grew up believing I was unintelligent and stupid.
Mhm.
I grew up believing that I was math illiterate, which I'm not. Because I did 3 years of statistics to get a PhD and wrote a long dissertation with 17 pages of stats. Thank you. Uh, Geometry and I will probably never get along.
Right.
And I don't really love that the alphabet joined the numbers because the numbers were already hard and I don't know why they're friends. But nonetheless, I've had to learn that I learn differently than other people. I had to learn that by myself. I would also like to preface that both of my teachers have master's degrees in education. How you have a child failing school doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
Right.
So I think that the more of an expert I became, the more it actually put a mirror up to their neglect of me. And I think that is why me becoming more and more successful and educated, especially in this area, made everything worse for me.
Yeah. In what way do you feel like it was made worse?
So here's a quote from my mother. If I said anything to her about us, she'd go, "Well, you're the shrink. I guess you know everything, doctor."
Oh my gosh. Uh-huh.
You know, like your eye starts twitching because you're like, what?
Right.
And it became that. Everything was, guess you know everything. Guess you're smarter than everyone.
Mhm.
You're the shrink. So, like, not even proud, at the end of the day, not even proud, offended.
Right.
Um, and since you were educated in ADHD, then, now you know who you are and you have self identified now. And this holds an unfortunate, ugly mirror up to these parents who just didn't want you to have any excuse. You're just bad. So now, when there's a diagnosis, there's ADHD, and then you have another identity of the identified patient or the scapegoat. This is empowering because guess what? You know what kind of cancer you have, and you know where you got it.
Right. And it's kind of funny when you say that was your mom's response. It's not her saying that what you're telling her isn't true. She's not saying you're wrong. She's mocking and belittling the fact that you're right.
Bingo. Yes, that's a great reframe because it makes her so mad that now she has culpability. And how's she going to get away with it now?
Right.
She can't. I'm asking her to take accountability for those things.
Right. And when you're asking for accountability and you're asking for a conversation and you're asking for truth, it's when it's belittled like that and mocked and there can't be a connection, what are you left with?
You're left alone.
Right.
I believe that so many of us, especially the scapegoat, we live with the heart of an orphan.
Yeah.
We just do. And it doesn't matter if there's a box we live in with bodies in it, because that's all it is. It's a box with bodies. It is really nothing else but a box with bodies.
Yeah. I mean, I always felt like, I know you've talked about Annie, little orphan Annie, and
Oh my
oh
God.
my gosh, could Oliver Warbucks come save me? And I always thought that and was like, oh my gosh, look at like how much, they take her in, they see that these things that they're saying about Annie aren't true, all of that, right? It's just like,
Yes. I
I could
really
fall into
wanted
that.
Grace, when Grace comes and she's so elegant and stunning and calm but she's got a fight in her. And what I loved about Annie is she was so brave and I was so not brave. I was so broken and she was the brave to my broken. And so her Pippi Longstocking, whose dad was a pirate, and they sort of mirror my childhood because when my dad was in, it was like a hurricane hit, but he was out of my life for more than he was ever in it. And my mom was there. And so Grace was so present and she talked Daddy Warbucks into Annie and that it wasn't a boy. And see, I was not favored because I was a girl and I believe my mother hates women. So there were so many themes there, but she was so brave. And when she is running up the railroad track bridge thing that's straight up, and
Yeah.
her psychological predators are about to get her, where then if they caught her, she could never self identify. Her life would be taken from her, and she would have to identify as being captured, right, by bad people. So when everything is done to save her, that was my fantasy. It was like, I want someone to see me and want to love me like that.
Right.
And so everything, I even did a skating routine to the song Tomorrow. But it's a hard knock life. I took my daughter to the musical and I was, no joke, just sobbing like through.
Yeah.
First of all, the little girl that played Annie was so phenomenal, and her courage to get up there. And, I picture a little girl might sing a little small because she's so young. Oh my God, this girl, I was like, that she's a perfect Annie, because she's so, and my daughter kept holding my hand and handing me tissue. And, she was just such a hero for me. And I look at my daughter who's so brave, and she just got into a top 10 university in the nation. And we just graduated last night from a junior college, and she starts at UCI in the fall. And it's just like, she has so many things I don't. And not that she hasn't had trauma, but it's been a corrective experience raising her. I think it's important that we have childhood superheroes,
Right.
um, because we need to become them. And I'm a huge fan now today of underdog movies. Huge
Yeah.
fan. And they're
Yeah.
almost all boy movies, but Rocky 1 through 4, Rambo First Blood, Gladiator, Rudy, Goodwill Hunting, like these movies just really shine, ends me. These movies touch me because I can identify with not having self-belief or belief in others. You have to prove it.
Yeah. And I think, like, what do you think? I guess you know, I know you've explained in your book and on your podcast how, your mother is narcissistic, and more of the covert version, and your father is a little more overt and,
Yeah.
physically abusive as well. And can you explain or maybe just talk a little about your experience and your expertise about the idea that these toxic parents, um, not only do they not see you, but they expect your loyalty without them giving any love. They expect you to tell them the truth without them telling you the truth. They expect respect while they're disrespecting you. They will not take any accountability or ever apologize. And that feels like that's all you're doing. Like, why is that expectation like that? And the only
Because
place is in a
I
family.
yeah, I believe they believe that we are their property. I think there's a belief that children come from their parents.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a new book dropping in April, and I'm more in love with this book than any book I have ever written. And so is my publisher, to be quite honest. Um, I built a house, and
Yes.
it's all metaphorical, and it really explains that by when we're born, in the house there's a porch, yard, and the fence. So those closest to us by circumstance are on our porch. The porch is the closest part of the outside world to our soul, to our inner person, our personality, our inner child, our inner heart. So if you're on someone's porch, you're as close to them as you can be because we cannot share bodies. So by circumstance, they have to be co-signers on the property
Okay.
because we are too young to understand property management. Okay.
Right.
But at some point, when they're defecating on the porch, for a gross example, and then you start to notice it, right? Now you start to notice, like, well, they have a porch, and I'm not allowed to go over there and defecate, but they can
Right.
come on my porch, mess it up, defecate, leave it. So we get to an age, as we're developing, we start to get to separation, individuation. We start to become different. We start identity development. We start to go like, hey, you left a treat for me on my porch and it's kind of stinky.
Right. Exactly. And also, it's not my choice to go no contact when they're not giving me a choice. They're literally treating me like I'm disposable, and then just expecting me to like keep showing up. And you bring up a good point about no contact being, natural consequences. It's you're not trying to punish your parents. And I kept saying that, like, the whole smear campaign is,
Mm,
oh, I'm keeping the grandkids from them and I'm not talking to them and all of that. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, can we be real? Like, I'm not doing anything to punish you. I'm
mm,
doing these things to protect me. And me calling out the truth is not me trying to punish you. It's me just speaking reality and not living in denial or, sweeping everything under the rug. Like when can you talk about that? Like
mhm.
how that, cuz
Yeah,
that's such a
there
powerful point
if
that you
you
made.
have any sense of self, if you have any sense of self, you won't be able to stay in those conditions. Now, I also believe that there are scapegoats that don't ever get out. And I
Yeah.
think there are far more golden children who never get out.
Yes. I
Okay.
agree. Yeah.
I do believe that they are victimized, even though they are enabled. I still believe that there's a victimization because they're never going to become a whole self.
No.
Uh, my sibling and my mother, their relationship is based in mutual secrets and lies that they keep for each other and do for each other actively.
Right.
So it's too dangerous now for them because there's such a sadistic nature to that dynamic. So I think that there is no other choice if you really want to be happy.
Right.
If you really want a shot at authenticity of being who you really are and being actually loved for that, loved for your truth telling abilities, respected for your truth telling abilities, loved for your ADHD quirks. I tried to get out of my car with a seatbelt on the other day. My bag was in front of my seatbelt. So then I thought my bag was stuck. Literally, this took me like 5 minutes to get myself out of my car. And I'm like, why am I like this? But like, I can just laugh at myself now and be like, I'm the dumbest smart person I know. And I think that's kind of iconic. And so being able to love myself for my very Chrissy from Three's Company personality, while also embracing that I'm one hell of a businesswoman and I'm good at what I do and that I'm brave enough to share my story. And then people like you feel like I recorded your life. I mean, when there's no contact, I could not heal. There was no shot.
Yeah.
'Cause even if I went, because I tried it all, you guys, I made up shit to try. I made
Right.
up the word cordial contact. I made up the word. I made it up. Okay. I'm viral right now online because I made up a term called low effort family. I made it up because nothing that's in the literature quite yet has described my life. So
Right.
I had a low effort, high conflict family. My sibling has a high effort, high conflict family. We had two different sets of parents, even though they were the same people.
Exactly.
But I was the neglected scapegoat, and he was the enmeshed, idolized golden child. So it can be both. So the thing is I tried cordial contact, really hoping this would work because to have a mustard seed of an attachment to them would have been something I really wanted and desired. And it took me 45 years to figure out, ain't going to happen, sister. But I've tried everything. I do
Mhm.
not regret that it took me as long as it did because I
Right.
don't have any doubt. But let me tell you, my life from then to now, I've been in a very solid 9-year relationship with someone I love very much. I've written 6 books. My practice exploded. My online presence exploded. And I made it all the way to the TEDx stage. If
Yeah.
I had poison, emotional poison in my veins, these last 9 years would not be this.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Mhm.
the thing is of course there has to be that breaking point, like you
Yep.
said, like that last pebble going in there to say no more. It's like even we were committed, we wanted a connection, we wanted to belong. And, you see other people's families and you're like, oh, that's what it should be like. That's what
Oh,
I
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're never getting that, you finally do. You just get to a point where you're like, enough is enough. Like, This is not happening. And you're forced to back off.
Oh,
And I
yes.
did the same thing, like, just, trying to keep a little more distance, or, a lot of the time I had to tiptoe around,
Mhm.
"Well, don't say that to mom because 'cause she'll get upset. Don't bring it up to mom. If you want mom to come see the kids,
Mhm.
then, you can't say that." And that would be coming from my siblings who meanwhile, like the 2 siblings that, I still have a relationship with. One was my older sister, former golden child, sees the toxicity and is no contact as well. And then my younger brother, um, who also sees the toxicity and is not playing along. But I think at that time there was still the mixed messaging because they did have those relationships with our parents that they thought they did at least get slivers of
Yeah.
hope and love, or performance acceptance, where I got none, so it's easier for me to go.
I think that, if you ever heard of the story A Child Called It, and if you haven't, and you've got the wherewithal to read a book like that. I had to read it at every level of education. He's the third worst case of child abuse reported in California history.
The Child Called It.
A Child
Okay.
Called It. And then he wrote A Man Named Dave, and he has a third book. And then one of his brothers wrote a book who wasn't taken out of the home. So this is in 1971. You weren't taken out of the home, and he was taken. He was the scapegoat who was originally the golden. And then he was sadistically abused, stabbed, made to eat his own vomit, starved. She was putting Clorox and ammonia down his throat, closing his windpipe, watching him suffer. He was an alcoholic, and the dad would sit behind a paper and read. He was made to sit in the POW position on the floor while they ate, and he could watch them eat, and he wouldn't eat. And then she had a little minion, this little boy named Russell, and Russell would spy on David, and she'd make him throw up every day after school to be sure he didn't steal food, and if he did, he'd have to eat the throw up. I mean, it's so okay. Well,
Yeah.
Russell, the little minion, the golden child, when David was taken out, he became the next abused child, and then he wrote his journey. So when you are abusing one child in front of the other children, all children are being abused.
Right.
You abuse your spouse in front of your children, you are abusing your children.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if no contact is happening outside of other cases, parent alienation cannot be included in this. And then I think that there are certain children who have genetic ODD, and there are those things. And I treat those parents, so I want to be sensitive. But I would say the large majority of us
Yeah.
are just talking about being raised under very toxic parents. And I believe that the true definition of love would imply discipline.
Yeah.
I love my child. Therefore, when she needs some boundaries or she needs some guidance, it's given to her.
Right.
Okay. I don't punish, I lead. I'm her leader more than I am her parent. So,
Yeah, discipline is different than punishment.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
If you love someone, you will want them to experience the consequences of what their behavior would merit.
Right.
So over COVID, my daughter was homeschooled. They had to do school at home, in other words.
Mhm.
And she had two challenging math and science classes. And so she was way ahead in English. So she let it go. We had 14 missing assignments at one point. And I was like, girl, mm-mm. So I don't know what you have to do to catch up. And she's crying and she's explained to me. And I said, I believe you. I hear you. I know doing this at home is much harder. And I am not a scientist and I'm not a mathematician. I understand. Let's get you a tutor, but there's got to be a balance. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm like, you did not let me down.
Right.
I'm trying to lift you up and help you. So, in whatever way that I can help, and I would never want to be her tutor. I would want a middle person because I never want to invite conflict where she feels that she has to impress her mom during homework, right? I just want her to understand the content. So I hired someone and we did very well and we caught up. She'll never get behind again. Okay. She was experiencing the laws of cause and effect. If someone, regardless of their title, is going to consistently abuse you, then at some point, if you love them, you will want them to have the natural consequences of their behavior, which would be the loss of the relationship. Why would you want that for them? Because it would actually give them, not that they're going to take this opportunity because they don't, but it's important that you give it. Because when you love someone, you love your husband, if he hurts your feelings and he has a repetitive behavior, I imagine that you love him enough to tell him. And that love is whole. You would never enable. You just wouldn't. So we have no control. If this is a life class, we don't have any control over how they're going to show up as a student. If I'm their teacher
Right.
and they are my teacher and we contracted this life class together in this lifetime, I used to really be like, hey, you need to go to class, or you need to do your homework if you want good grades. And if I'm getting a middle finger to all that and they're not showing up, I cannot help them, not as a teacher or anything. But I
Right.
care about how I show up, and I really don't want to take this class again. Okay. I do not want to take this
No.
class. This class has been horrifically painful. People do not consider at all what the survivor needs. When there's no contact, they worry about what the abuser needs, what resources, what help.
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense. But no one thinks about what we need because somehow they believe that this is an easy thing.
Yeah.
I just did an entire podcast on why it's not an easy thing and how it's so misunderstood. So the bottom line is I do love my parents and sibling enough to give them that opportunity to grow. I cannot control if they take it, but I
Right.
know that I got an A in that class on that assignment.
Well, and that's just it. You're opening up this opportunity when you're saying this isn't okay. And I think that's something that, I'm sure you experienced as a kid too, where it's like you're voicing a problem or you're bringing something to their attention and you're being dramatic, or you're starting drama, or you're so negative. Why are you always complaining about everything? I was like, I'm not complaining. I'm just going to speak up when I see a problem so that we can solve it and we can be happy. Why How is that being negative?
And you know what's wild is it's always a state, right? It's always a statement of fact that
Oh, always.
somehow becomes complaining. So you're like, yeah, you'd be a really hard witness to cross-examine because I'm giving you a statement of facts. And you're like, oh my God, why are you complaining? What
Exactly.
is going on? Right? A lot of
Yeah.
people also get into this idea that no contact is a grudge or you're not forgiving. So
Right.
what I would really like people to understand is forgiveness is the wrong formula for this equation.
Absolutely.
In this equation, if you use forgiveness, it gets you more and more abused over time. And each time you forgive and you get more abused and you get cast out again and then you forgive again and you lose more and more and more and more of yourself through that process. Forgiveness is the wrong equation. It doesn't even fit into this paradigm. What fits into this paradigm is accepting a reality that is really painful to accept and accepting it wholly, even
Right.
when it's swallowing sand to do so. You have to accept that this is how they are. Abuse is always a choice. So this is how they choose to be. No one ever handcuffs another person to go out and abuse other people, even if you were abused, because I was really abused. And
Exactly.
I don't abuse anybody.
Right.
So I don't buy into this, I'm just choosing to do better. So the deal is you have to accept them for exactly who they are and not need them to be different. You might want them to be different. And that's okay. And you might want that on and off all throughout your life. I'm in perimenopause. I would love the genetics of my mother. I would just like to know, is this normal? Like, did you go through this? It's one thing to read it in a book, but there are times I just want my mom, not the personality in my mom's body, but if I could just like unzip it and stick a great personality, solid mom in there and zip it back up, I would
Right.
like her to look the same and smell the same and those things, right? But that's not who she is. So I have to go back to, okay, right now I really would want her to be different. And I have to go back to, but I don't need her to be. I still am getting answers. I'm getting through perimenopause and fine without her.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
forgiveness isn't even in the equation. So I wish people would stop relating the two.
Right.
Forgiveness in an abusive situation gets you more and more abused. That's codependency.
Yeah. And you have to use like it's a different mindset that I don't think
Correct.
people look if you haven't been in a toxic situation, you can't respond with normal relationship patterns. It is a
No.
completely different textbook that they go by. So if you're following, this normal relationship, healthy relationship style of, repair, that's not going to work there. And I mean, I gave my mom lots of forgiveness, lots of giving in because I
Mhm,
knew she was also abused by my father.
mhm,
I she was the enabler, he's the narcissistic controller.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden it dawned on me that like no, she's not protecting me now from all of the smear
No.
campaign and all of the abuse, and she's actually part of the smear campaign, and
You know why, right? Because if he's focused on you, he won't focus on her.
exactly, and that's
Scapegoat.
yes, she would rather put her daughter in harm's way, let her be the target so that she's not the target,
And can
and
we just
as
say for 1 minute, that is sick.
it is.
I recognize that as mothers, we carry the fetal cells of our children in our blood for the remainder of our lives post birth. Miss Ma'am, you do not put your daughter at risk so
Right.
that you get less. That shows no love, no concern. What would happen? My dad was very, very unhinged. So it was almost like I would get this, well, you're stronger than I was. Almost
Yeah.
freaking compliment me.
Right.
Like, I know, but you can handle it. I can't. Okay, so because she threw me in the middle of an affair. That I caught. And so now at 24, I'm being asked to confront. This is stepdad three, three. Um, and I loved her and I bought into all of the trauma drama and her heartbreak and all the things. And so she asked me to confront him and to tell him how much he hurt us. So he had 4 kids. There's me and my brother. So there was a photo of all of us. And I went to his office. He was a lawyer. And he had a wall sized photo of that. And he was with his secretary. And so I asked him if he did the deed while looking at that photo of a family. Mind you, yeah, I wasn't very nice when I knew he was having an affair with a 26-year-old. But what's under my pain there is that I knew at 9 years old that he was predatory and I did not like him. And
Right.
I did not speak to this man for 6 years when he was in my life. I didn't speak to him.
Yeah.
Uh, to my defense, he only came up on weekends and he'd bring 4 kids to my house and I didn't like them and they didn't like us. And so when I caught him, I was like, I got
Right.
you. So
Right.
we all had that same photo. So I took it home and I said, well, I got mad and I threw the photo on the ground and I broke all the glass. And I said, I feel like I just want to go put it in front of his door so he sees he shattered a family. And she said, do it. So I did.
Hmm.
And he called her and said, I scared him. He was afraid for his life.
Oh,
In fact, called
oh,
my mom and my mom said, how did you dare do that? Girl, she just told me to do it.
Right.
And I
Of
did it
course.
for her.
Right. Right.
So you're going to sacrifice me?
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
unbelievable. So you tell me, why are people worried about her at my no contact? Why are
Right.
you not worried about me? And or why are you not proud of me?
Right.
Right? So it is really twisted. And you're right. If you're not in it, you don't. Also, there's the playbook for the healthy family out there. I learned all of that through my PhD.
Right.
I'm starting to write the playbooks for our kind because, like you, I was looking for all this information and I found a lot of things that were almost there,
Right.
but no one was brave enough until But It's Your Family, my first book, where I put no contact as an option in the family environment.
Yeah. And I mean, when I think part when you brought up earlier how you finally go no contact and you break this cycle and you finally feel like you're at this place. It happens later in life,
Yeah.
and yeah, I went 4 decades being treated like this before I finally said no more, and it happened with these patterns around my kids, and just like you said, I was abused, I was treated horribly, and I'm not abusing others. I actually see it and I'm stop it. And if something comes up that I'm uncomfortable with, I speak about it. Not because I'm trying to cause a problem, because I'm trying to prevent a problem. I'm
Thank
trying
you. Yes.
to solve this.
But when you're in a toxic family that is destabilized by truth, because the only power they have is in dysfunction, we can't do that. The love I have for my kid, I've never even had any thought of harming that child. All my thoughts go toward not harming her.
Right, exactly.
I don't have thoughts of like, ooh, I'm mad at her. I want to harm her.
Oh my
I
god.
don't even get mad at her. It doesn't even get that far because we have a mutually respectful relationship. Because my parents were so icky, I don't even like the word parent.
Yeah.
So I always feel like I'm her leader. I was her portal to be here. I am her leader and her guide. And that is it. And I'm here to just love her unconditionally and teach her what I can and watch her shine. And that's it. I'm her leader. That's all I am. She has her own beautiful, magnificent, independent life to live that has nothing to do with me, that doesn't get to be my choice or under my control. Why
Right.
is this like brain surgery for people? I don't understand it.
Well, and I think that's part of it. Like part of it is ignorance, but part of it is also like, you know, we're bringing up this stuff and maybe it's a mirror for
It
others when
is.
we're doing and they just don't want to look. And I don't know. I think this is part of the ADHD brain, but we can't live in that denial. We
No, it
can't.
comes
We have
out.
just as sensitivity, it has to come out, and maybe sometimes it's that lack of impulse control that makes us just go, "Oh my gosh, that's not okay," you
Yeah.
know? And I think that is terrifying to the narcissistic parent
It
because
is
they
because,
know.
right? One of the traits is blurting things out of your mouth, right? Um, Impulsively, they say. And I would like to change the word impulsive to there's this pressure that when you're ADHD and there's this pressure and you already feel a lot of pressure because you got a lot of movement going through the body
Right.
and it needs to expel. And when you have a lie inside of you, and ADHD really kind of brings you into this sort of lawyer-ish, like right and wrong type of space. Justice is important. Our
Right.
minds are moving very, very quickly. And we already have it solved in our head very
Right.
most often before it even comes out. So it is like a preventative medicine that we're trying to apply. But when you have parents who believe that they have matured because of their age, it's like the idea that you just make more money as you age. What says who? Like, don't you have to work hard to earn more money? Or don't you have to like continue to be creative and expansive? And I mean, age just doesn't come with wisdom. It can if you are here to evolve, But when
Right.
you're using age as power or your title, I'm your mother because I said so.
Oh,
But they're
because I
total hypocrites, right? It's like you lose respect. And when you lose, see, I always say this, I love my parents. I have a love for them. I do not want them to be. When I found out my dad had cancer, he was an emotional cancer in this life. I wasn't surprised. Psychoneuroimmunology would make that very true that he'd probably get cancer. But I did picture him feeble and sick and ill, and I felt bad for the guy. I'm like, he missed the point of being here, that's for sure.
right.
I don't want anything, I don't want any suffering for my mom, but I'm going to let you know this. I do not like either of my parents. I cannot stand them. And I don't have
Right.
any respect for them, and I don't trust them. I do not have people in my life that I do not respect, I do not trust, and that I cannot stand. That
Right.
has
Well, you
nothing to do
can't
with
have a
love.
connection without
Yes,
trust. You
yes,
can't.
you can't. You cannot be authentic in a relationship you can't trust. I can't be bothered with those relationships anymore. I can't
No.
be bothered with it, right? So I do feel that working hard and being financially independent is a way out of these families if you don't know how to get out. But to have full ownership of your life, you guys, is so liberating.
It is.
Um,
And you don't know until you do it.
yeah.
And so I understand that's why it's scary for some people, but you do have to get to that place where that last pebble and you say enough is enough. Like you can only endure so much. Like the the kindest, another side of our ADHD justice sensitivity is once we're in your corner, we will stick up for you, we will advocate for
Loyal.
you, we'll be your biggest yes, we will be your biggest cheerleader, but you keep breaking that, it's going to break. I always say that me talking and me still wanting to have a conversation means I'm still trying. When I go silent, we're done.
We're done. And I think that that's the thing about ADHD is, again, you did 4 decades, I did 4.5 decades. That's enough, man. I
Oh my
paid
god,
my
it's more than
dues.
enough.
That's enough. And I really, really, really tried with my whole heart. Did I try? And I
Absolutely.
wanted them to love me, and I wanted to love them so bad. And I sought in every corner of every ounce of my human being why I was so bad.
Yeah,
And I just wasn't the one that was bad.
exactly.
So I don't think people understand how deeply we search our souls to try to be someone that we think they want us to be. But when who they want us to be is different from moment to moment, it's a little freaking hard to figure out who that person is. And I can't even tell you how much heartbreak and heartache and self incrimination and guilt and confusion I went through trying to stay in that
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And the torture I put myself through trying and trying and trying to be something good that they could love. And that they
Right.
did that to me, I'm done.
And they knew you would,
Of course. They never
you
thought I
know?
wouldn't mend the fence.
No.
They never thought.
Yeah.
And so they did some good hoovering type of baiting stuff after the no contact that I didn't respond to. And then they just got emotionally violent. They continued to be that way. Flying Monkey landed on my social media for a friend request yesterday. So and what's weird to me is I don't think about what they're doing on the daily
I
basis.
know.
I don't want to know. I don't care. I wish they would stop thinking about me because I
Yeah.
don't think about them in that way. I have
Right.
let them go. I wish them to their highest good, whatever
Right.
that may be for them. I don't know that they'll ever give me the same type of freedom. So I just delete like they're flies, but it's annoying.
It's annoying and it's heartbreaking and yeah, there's so many different levels to
Oh,
the
God.
grief that's involved. So I know we're getting
Yeah.
close to the end of time. Is there anything that you would share with my listeners who may also have grown up as the ADHD scapegoat or have this toxic family that they're kind of seeing these patterns and maybe they're thinking about trying no contact or, and second guessing themselves because again, this is new territory. What advice do you give them?
Okay, so I want to share with all of the listeners. I have always done the brave thing by being forced.
Right.
I have never, not once, ever, ever, ever done it bravely. So for me, bravery has always been a hindsight experience. And I can look and be like, oh my God, that took some serious cojones to go do that. But I did it. And I know that the next brave thing I'm going to have to do, I'm going to do it wide eyed and petrified. Do not wait to be brave.
Right.
Brave, brave is not something we have, it's just something that we do. And bravery is a choice. So if you're in this place, um, don't wait for bravery or confidence or like that you're 100% sure. Um, Angie and I had it a little easier. I never had to write a letter. I never had to initiate it myself. They don't believe that, but they all know the truth deep down. They cut me off and I didn't mend the fence. I do believe I kind of had it easy. A woman I interviewed on my show is Dr. Nadine Macaluso, and she is the ex-wife of the Wolf of Wall Street. And I was just in her Thrive community speaking to her private group of people she treats. What a lovely human being she is, first of all. I can't even imagine being exposed like that. But one thing that she and I had in common is she may not have been able to divorce him. He got arrested by the feds. And so she was like, my patients have to go through something I didn't because he got arrested and went to prison. I mean, that was really easy. And I appreciated her humility on that. And I think Angie and I feel the same way. And I would just say, don't expect to do the brave thing bravely. And again, whatever brave thing I have to do next, I'm going to do it wide-eyed and petrified. And I'm going to have to leave that up to like the sexy mommies in the sky because I don't really want to know the mechanics. Sometimes it's just not my business. I just want to do what I have to do. And I know that when you leap, the net will appear. And you have this whole community now that's growing so wildly. And you're so loved and you're so smart and you're so capable. And life will work out. It will work out. If
Right.
Angie and I can do it, and you see what I've done over the last 9 years, I promise you that you can do it.
Right. I love that. Yeah, it's not about being angry. We're just done.
No.
We're done. And I
I'm
think
done being angry. I
right.
couldn't not be angry if they were in my life. I'm
Right.
finally done being angry because I don't have a provoker 24/7.
Right. I'm
Yes.
done being on edge. I'm done being, allowing confusion. I'm not confused.
No.
I get it. And
Yeah.
I don't need it.
No.
And it's not helping.
And
And
also, not everyone who takes the life class with you is obviously up for the task.
right.
Let it go.
Right.
Let it go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter their title.
No, they get to, come back next lifetime and redo. Not with me, but they'll have to redo and repeat that situation somewhere else. I just don't want a whole bunch of repeats on this. This was a hard one. I think I took too many hits off the bliss drink while I was up there choosing. So I'm gonna maybe we could buddy up, Angie, and be like, nah, you had enough.
Yeah,
You had
no,
enough.
not next time,
I'm
can I
gonna
get
be
a
your
different
DD.
role?
Don't choose that. I'm like, yeah, sure. Nine marriages between my parents. Yeah, let's why not? Will and neglect. Let's go for it. So,
Oh, man.
just pass your classes, have integrity, love yourself, journal, just take care of you. Again, bravery is never something you're gonna have. You're just gonna have to do it.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much
You're
again.
so welcome.
I prioritizing peace never felt doable until I
Mhm.
read your book.
I love you for that. Thank you,
It
honey.
it was and I remember showing it to my 2 siblings. I was like I kept taking pictures and sending it to them and being like, "Oh my gosh, you have to read this." But you're allowed to say no more. This is
You
done. You're
are.
allowed to stop being the only person putting in the effort to fix these relationships that only break you.
Yeah.
It's all they're doing.
That's all they're doing, and it's such a tremendous act of self-respect.
Right.
Let when you let go of all of this negative shit, you give life a chance to be good to you.
Like, I
Life,
cannot believe the relief.
I know,
I
and
feel
life
that.
will be good to you if you make the room for it. If it's
Right.
cluttered and there's no room for that light to get in. But I have learned, because I've never trusted life. How could I have?
Right. Right.
When I get into that, ADHD funk where I have too much to do and too little time, and I took it all on because I'm dumb and I just do this to myself. And I'm like, why did I do that? But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I need to just step back, just let life be good to me. I want to be thankful for all the opportunities coming my way. And I'm
Right.
going to let life be good to me. And when I'm tired, I'll just say I'm tired. Like I'm not gonna do much podcasting over the summer because I'm booked out till September. And I'm just going to edit my book, and I'm going to not work so hard. A lot of people in my practice travel in the summer, and I'm just going to allow myself to breathe. I need to breathe too. And you do need all of that. So take care of you, be good to yourself, and let life be good to you. And if someone in your life is poisoning you, there's only one way out of that, and that is to get that person out of your life.
Hey, truth tellers, when our technical issues cut our conversation off abruptly, our goodbyes were lost. So I'll share one of the most important truths Dr. Sherrie leaves us with, and that's this. We don't go no contact because we want to. We go no contact because we've tried everything else. It's not about being angry, it's about being done. So if this conversation hit home, please know you're allowed to prioritize your peace. You're allowed to say no more, and you're allowed to stop fixing relationships that you didn't break and only break you. Huge thank you to Dr. Sherrie for holding space for the hard stuff and for saying the things so many of us needed to hear decades ago. If you haven't already read her book, Adult Survivors of Toxic Family Members, do yourself a favor. Grab a copy, underline, highlight, bookmark your face off. Let it set you free. I was recently on Dr. Sherrie's podcast, Sherrie Sessions, Cutting Toxic Family Ties, and you'll find all the info to go check that out in our show notes. So make sure you're following both of us and subscribing so you won't miss these powerful discussions. Thank you for being here. Until next time.